You want to assign different network segments to different departments of the company. We won't talk about switching technology today. In terms of simply dividing the network. Segment network. Then VLSM is used for network segmentation. Is used to divide subnets. Isolate traffic on different network segments. CIDR ends up just working on routers. To reduce the number of appearances. In the routing table. Optimized data forwarding. So, they are actually different. VLSM is more of a role within the enterprise. Used to divide the network. Isolate traffic from different departments. When finalizing. To inform the outside world. That's for outside announcements. Just to let the many network segment information inside. Tell others in a more streamlined way. I still take the class as an example. A class is divided into many groups. This is a class. Between different groups. To do some different tasks. Each group has a leader. Team leader is responsible for receiving and sending homework. Each group operates individually. Facilitates better management within the entire class. Equivalent to different departments in an enterprise. For the department. Segment it. Like dividing groups within a class. But this is only a means within the enterprise. If you want to advertise routes to the outside world. As a principal. Deal with so many things. Throughout the school every day. So how to divide the network segment. Within the class. The principal doesn't care. It is not necessary for the principal to know the internal structure of the class. CIDR is used here. When announcing to the outside world. Announce the most general information at present. If the data traffic goes to the operator. Then go to the specific corresponding. To the following. Which network segment did it go to? Its scope is different. One is internal digestion. Own data distribution. One is when announcing to the outside world. Announce a condensed message. Then both. One is to act internally. One is external. VLSM is for IP address savings. And achieve the purpose of dividing a network segment. So for CIDR. It is to optimize the number of appearances. Reduced announcement items. In fact, the two are combined. So it's for us network engineers. It can be understood as a test. If you are a very good engineer. Future. Actually you will see. A lot of very clean planning on the project. Is the overall network planning. Very neat. For example. You do some configuration. Make a cut. We'll leave some waste configuration. You do some transition configuration. I'll delete it for others when I'm done. To us. When planning a network. Based on the original large network. Yes. It can be designed in advance. Announce this big network to the outside world. Later. When the network segment is divided. It is just divided into a network segment within this large network. Very beautifully planned. That is. In the early stage. I divided multiple subnets based on this large network. And announced this big network to the outside world. This involves the initial planning. If the previous planning is not done well. Like I just said. Here is a 4.0 network segment. Another 21-bit route is advertised to the outside world. Then it will cover some network segments that do not exist. For example, 5, 6, 7. Due to the previous configuration. Some of the problems that may result are. You must advertise 2 network segments to the outside world. Or you've announced more. Or what you advertise will cover some waste network segments. Or you will advertise one more configuration. when everyone first came into contact with CIDR, may find it useless. But when you learn the NP stage, you will come into contact with a certain routing technology. That is, routing knowledge. Then you will know why among some companies to make some corresponding announcements with the internet. At that time you will learn application scenarios. When you combine into the project scene, let's look at this technology. You won't think it's useless. It's just that we're in the NA stage now. Because NP is mentioned, I have to talk corresponding to the two technologies. But since everyone is now, I really don't have a deep understanding of the project itself. So when you understand the problem, sometimes you can't see where the specific effect is. Feel a little contradictory. But I've made it as clear as possible to you. Now I will answer your questions. Is CIDR only used in egress gateways or firewalls? No. Generally speaking, as long as we want to make announcements to the outside world, CIDR will be used. For a company's internal, CIDR also has usage scenarios, but relatively large. It doesn't have an area that it has to function. As long as your routing table is relatively large, CIDR can be used. It just gives you a scene. Is an export docking operator that is connected to the internet. But not just on this device. When there are many routing tables in the enterprise, we will also use CIDR. It's just the best scene. Because people still don't understand. How big should our network be? For example, what protocol is running? What is the final configuration? The size of the routing table? What kind of entry to achieve? Or how much? If I do aggregate again, for which traffic to aggregate? Which traffic can be given up? Which traffic must be precise? These people still don't understand. So when drawing, won't draw all the scenes. This is just one of the scenarios. Okay. We'll stop here. Then we also hope that students can follow us. We are ThinkMo Education. I'm Grolin Annesley from ThinkMo. I hope today's content is helpful to you. See you next class. Bye classmates.